In this video, I'm going to cover and explain the two key business insurances that most business owners, freelancers and entrepreneurs may need. They are namely professional indemnity insurance and public and employers liability insurance. What exactly are they? How do they work? And do you actually need them? Stay tuned to find out. Once you have watched this video, please don't forget to like, write a comment and subscribe to our channel. Unfortunately, there's still a little bit of skepticism around insurance in general, in particular business insurances. I mean, you as a business owner, freelancer, entrepreneur are probably wondering, do I actually need these insurances? And if you do pay for these insurances, are they fit for purpose if ever called upon? And that's what I'm going to go through in this video with you today. Now, first of all, a little definition of what insurance actually is. If you think about insurance, you probably have some sort of household insurance or car insurance. Insurance effectively is the transfer of risk from one party to the other. So you as the insurance holder or the policy holder is transferring some risk from yourself to another party who are insuring you in return for a premium. But regrettably, you've probably been there, and we've all experienced this in the past. Some insurances aren't even worth the paper they're written on, and when you've come to call upon them, there's a load of exclusions and there's a load of policy wordings that actually don't allow it to pay out. And that's exactly what you want to be wary of when it comes to buying professional indemnity insurance and public and employers liability insurance. So I'm going to break this down for you, starting with professional indemnity insurance. Now, in order to help us understand professional indemnity insurance, I'm just going to jump on our business insurance page. So if we type in the URL here and we end up on our business insurance page, I'm going to scroll down and go straight to professional indemnity. Click on this button and this brings up a really good definition. Let me read it out to you. Professional indemnity insurance, PII, will protect you against the cost of defending claims where it is alleged that a client has suffered financial loss as a result of your error, omission or negligence. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, let me give you an analogy. Let's say you're in the business of giving advice, like a financial advisor. Now, you could be advising people on their mortgages, pensions, or other financial products. And if it can be proven, and I do mean proven, that your advice was negligent, you made a material omission or a serious error that has resulted in the client's financial loss, then actually that client can make a claim against you or your business for professional indemnity, and that is when the insurance would kick in. Financial advisors aren't the only ones that could suffer this loss. It could be in any business across the spectrum. If you're a graphic designer, for example, and you've done some lovely designs, the content was provided to you by the client, but you've made a material omission, for example, and that content then went out to the client's clients, that resulted in a loss, then there could be a claim against you for professional indemnity. You see, it's all about negligence, error and omission, and if it can be proven that you acted in one of those three ways that resulted directly in a financial loss for your client, then your client has the right to actually make a claim against you or your business under your professional indemnity insurance policy. And if you don't have any insurance, then actually it could become quite painful for you and a business. So moving on to the next type of insurance, and that's called public employers liability. Now, once again, I'm going to go on screen here and I'm going to demonstrate a definition of it here. So if we click this button, it pops up here. And the definition is, it will provide indemnity for your legal liability for injury or death to employees or third parties and damage to third party property as a result of negligent acts by you or your employees. Now that's quite interesting. Let's break it down and start with public liability. Now just imagine a building company. You're part of a building company and you're up a ladder doing somebody's roof, and all of a sudden you accidentally drop a brick or a heavy tool and it hits a member of public walking below you. Now if that member of public gets injured, they can make a claim against you or the building company, whoever holds a policy, in terms of negligence for not ensuring health and safety. So that's a prime example of a business that operates in this method. Public liability insurance is not just limited to businesses that probably need that level of health and safety. Let's say, for example, you're a graphic design studio and clients come to your offices in order to sit down, go through things and actually liaise with you. And let's say there's a loose wire hanging out somewhere and they actually accidentally electrocute themselves. Hopefully don't die, but electrocute themselves. Now, that can be an act of negligence, and because that client is a member of public, then they have the recourse to actually sue you or your company, whoever holds the policy, under public liability. And the circumstances and scenarios can go on and on and on. The key here is an act of negligence. If it can be defined an act of negligence and it actually happens, then there could be recourse against you or your business in terms of a claim. The next is employers liability. Now, this is very similar to public liability. The only difference is if these are actually employees under an employment contract working for you or your business. And therefore, the actual event, which is an act of negligence that could lead to an employee's injury or death, is exactly the same in all scenarios. And in this case, this is where the employee's liability insurance element of it kicks in. Now, one of the main questions that you probably have and always gets asked is my insurance policy fit for purpose? Will it actually pay out in these certain events, and what are the exclusions? Now, that's a very, very good question. So in order for me to help you understand this, I'm going to jump on the business insurance page again, and I'm going to go to the areas where you need to look very, very carefully in terms of the insurance policy wording, exclusions, and other aspects before deciding to purchase an insurance policy. So if we go to this URL, Professional Indemnity Insurance, and here we go, and here's our business insurance page for professional indemnity insurance. This is underwritten by a company called Kudos, by the way. This is not our own insurance, we are an affiliate of Kudos. So if we scroll down and go to a button called Additional Info, it will take us to this section here. We'll go on to build a quote in a moment. But if we go down here to important documents, this is what you really need to look at. First of all, some specimen policy wording. So let's just take a look at one of these specimen document wordings. Very, very well worth reading. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go into complete depth and read every single word and spend hours doing this, but at least spend a few minutes, if not 10 or 15 minutes or so, going through it and understanding it as best as you possibly can. Sections that you want to look at are insuring clauses, and quite important, exclusions. So this is really important. What will it not cover in the event of a claim? And you can see in this particular specimen document, there are 18 different exclusions for different various reasons. Some are going to be more onerous than others, but it's definitely worth having a look at them. Things like dishonesty here. So make sure you understand them as best as you possibly can. And if you don't understand them, it's well worth calling Kudos, and they'll be more than happy to take you through your questions. If you then further scroll down to this section, it's called Professional Indemnity Insurance FAQs. Now, there's some really, really good FAQs here, and they're well worth reading, and it gives you a better insight about the policy and the type of insurance. Then, if you're happy, you can actually go and build a quote. So go to this section here to build a quote, and then start answering the questions. Which structure best describes your business? For example, if you're a limited company partnership or sole trader, what do you do? And there's a drop down list that comes there. So for example, IT contractor, business management, training consultant, and so on. At the moment, I'm just going to put IT contractor. How many people need cover? Well, if you're a sole trader or a sole limited company trader, then only one. If there are a number of directors who are fee earners, then you'll need to select that many directors. And what's your turnover? Just select the range. Which products would you like? So let's go for professional indemnity insurance. Click on the plus sign, and there you go. One product from £162 or £13.50 per calendar month. So £162 is the annual cost. If you're happy with that, you can just press next step. And then there are a series of questions that come up. So for example, what date do you want the policy to start? Some disclosures, and whether you want to reduce the policy excess, but obviously that will mean a higher premium. There's some statements of truth here and confirmation of statements before you go to the next step. Now, hopefully that gives you a really good insight into professional indemnity insurance and public and employees liability insurance, the two main business owner insurances. Now, there's a plethora of other types of insurances out there, as you may have discovered, but certainly if you're a new startup or a small business, they're the two that you need to focus on at first. If you're an established business, then all I can recommend is that you look at your existing policies, make sure you've got the right level of cover, and they are actually fit for purpose. As always, I hope you found this video very, very useful, insightful, and a little bit empowering. Now, if you did like it, please drop us a like. That would be much appreciated. If you have any comments or questions, please put in the comments or boxes below. And if you haven't already subscribed, then please subscribe and press the bell notification item. Now, until the next video, I bid you a very, very good day.